And welcome to the next episode of License Your Invention with David Fedewa. I'm your host, David Fedewa, and I'm here to help you license your invention. Today, we're going to get into a topic. We're going to slow it on down and talk about how to invent. So to jump right in, how to invent, right? I mean, that's it seems like a simple topic for some people. Other people, it's what they want to get into, and a lot of times the real question is not necessarily how to invent, but how to monetize. But I want to step it back and go into the how to invent, and that is one of the things that I don't talk about as much as I should, because the way that I invent actually helps me license products. And so that's what I want to help you with today, is the how to invent process. And there's a couple different ways that I invent, right? And one of them is a lot like everybody. It's a flash of an idea, right? You're just working on something, and then later on you think back, oh, boom, and it hits you. And you have this idea of there's a simpler way to do this, or an easier way, or this can be designed differently to have this impact. And so that's one way to do it, is to get just a flash of an idea, right? And that's not really necessarily taught. That's just something that you experience. But the thing that, one of my products that I had licensed, I went about it a very systematic way. And if you go about it a very systematic way, your brain will invent things within the box, right? And when you ask your brain, invent something, it's too vague, it's too far out there, it's non-specific. And so your brain won't even necessarily come up with anything. But if you put a box around it. And what I mean by that is if you create parameters that help you direct your brain to start thinking about certain things. And one of the examples that I think can help illustrate this principle or this practice that I do is I think about a cutting board and a knife, right? Very simple tools that are used every day throughout the world. And it's a board to protect your table and a knife. But I look at it in terms of what is the end result. People don't want a board and a knife, they want a chopped onion or chopped carrot or chopped whatever it is. And so you can relook at that, right? You can open up your mind to say people aren't necessarily, they don't desire a cutting board, they don't desire a knife, they desire the end result, which is a chopped this or that. And so you're putting your mind in a position or a situation where it's like, all right, those rules don't necessarily apply, right? It's not, you don't say, how do I improve the knife or how do I improve the cutting board? You say, how do I get to the end result faster or better or simpler, save people time, save people money, whatever the advantage is, right? So that's one way to invent. And then another way is that you set up parameters along with that. And so when I'm thinking, right, and I think that the cutting board and the knife are just not adequate anymore, we need to improve the process to get the end result. But then, like with this product, right, this is one of the products that I had licensed. And one of the things when I was working on this project, I didn't want it to be this big bulky device, right? I didn't want it to have this huge circumference where it wouldn't be able to fit into cup holders. And I didn't want it to be a small incremental improvement, right? Because existing koozies, they kept your beer or soda cold for, 5-10 minutes. But after that, I mean, it really just kind of got to temperature outside. And so I wanted something that kept it refrigerator cold for 30, even 45 minutes while you're drinking the last drop. It's the exact same temperature as the first drop. And that's kind of where we started at. And so you have to start with parameters, right? I didn't want it to be big and bulky so that it didn't fit in cup holders. I didn't want it to be just a small incremental improvement. And so with those, that's how this product came about. And so if you put parameters around yourself, right? If you're looking at it and saying cutting boards are inadequate, what are the parameters that put you in the box of performance, right? What performance do you want to come from it? And so I use a bunch of those different techniques to get my brain focused in the right direction to invent things that are licensable, right? If you take, just the idea way, where you're just sitting there and boom, you have an idea. It's not necessarily a licensable product, but if you put the parameters up and you think of the solution first, you know, I want this end goal, then you let your brain and your subconscious create within that, then you come up with great licensable products. And that is my secret to how I license a lot of my products and how I, you know, create is I set up parameters. And that kind of is like almost an oxymoron of like I want to be creative, I want to be outside the box, but I create a box for myself. And so try that. Create a box for yourself. Make parameters. Make limitations to the innovation that you want. Look at the solution that you're trying to accomplish. You don't want a chopping board or a cutting board and a knife. You want chopped onions. And so look at, I want this end solution, and the thing that exists was man-made, man-created, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right answer. So you can come up with the right answer if you are, you know, thinking in the right direction. So I hope this really helps get your mind in the right process. And I hope you loved that episode of License Your Invention with David Fedewa. If you got anything out of that, if you can put your mind inside a box, and you like the content that we have here today, subscribe now. Also, if you'd like to become part of the tribe, I teach and coach licensing and how to get your product to market and how to monetize. So check out inventtribe.com. The next episode is how to patent your product. Very important step on moving you forward through the licensing process.